human roles in management of the universe. The narratives from Genesis reveal the profound mysteries of creation, including meaningful teachings for our existence in the triangle of relationship with God, with others, and the earth. In this reflection, we deepen our relationship as human beings with the earth, especially our role of ruling over the earth with God aside. Over time, the awareness of this position has changed. There have been unintentional or intentional misinterpretations about this original relationship, causing conflicts and wounds for each other. There are also explanations which view humanity equal to other creatures in order to justify immoral actions against human dignity. We are called to put ourselves under the light of Christian faith and ask God to help us truly understand His message when entrusting this planet for human governance. How should we interpret the command, subdue and rule over the earth in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28 to 29? According to the Genesis, right after the creation, God commanded man, "Be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." Then God said, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food." Humans were blessed and given power to subdue the earth, rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. So how can we interpret these commissions of subduing and ruling? We won't analyze it as Bible experts or scientists who do the research, but we position ourselves as children trying to receive Father's utterances and expectations. From Bible commentaries, two key terms, subdue and rule over, in the Bible text are translated from ancient Hebrew terms kabas and rada. They are expressions that denote the hardest and most brutal forms of ruling. Kabas means to trample upon, while rada means basically to stand upon something, to stamp something into the ground. Both terms, kabas and rada, signifies the absolute right of humans to dispose of the material and animal world. This then has become the widespread interpretation. But closer inspections of the use of the words kabas and rada in the speech of the Old Testament would yield other conclusions. Behind the word kabas stands an image of putting one's feet on something. Let's think of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Seated upon his throne, Pharaoh placed his feet upon a footstool attached to the throne. This footstool was decorated with symbolic figures that represented the countries over which Pharaoh ruled. It indicates that these countries, with their inhabitants and all that was in them, belonged to Pharaoh. This means he neither stamped them into the ground nor trampled upon them. Besides, in the priestly writings, the phrase kabas is used with special reference to taking possession of territories. So in Hebrew context, it means that a people has taken possession of territory and now is able to divide it among its members, who can dwell there in peace. Additionally, the term rather may also have possible meaning to lead about. So the word rule over should be interpreted as to guide, to lead, to pasture, to accompany. The sense context becomes even clearer when people note that in the ancient East, the shepherd served as a symbol of the ruler. Kings as shepherds of their peoples was a perfectly normal notion. This directive shepherding and guiding functions of the human over the animals must have been very important for the priestly writings of the human over the animals must have been very important for the priestly writing. For it was announced in the divine decree of creation in Genesis, where it is seen as the consequence of the fact that the human is created in the image of God. Humans' dominion over all animals must therefore mean caring for them as creatures of God's beautiful cosmos. Their relationship with the earth is interdependent. There used to be wrong understandings about dominions in the past. Are there similar explications in the present? Or deliberate misinterpretations at this moment for personal interests? We all know that each community can take from the bounty of the earth whatever it needs for subsistence. But it also has the duty to protect the earth and to ensure its fruitfulness for coming generations. It seems to be that misunderstandings of subdue and rule over the earth still exists. It argues for absolute dominion on over creatures and advocates for modern anthropocentrism. It views nature as an insensate order, as a cold body of facts, and refuses intrinsic dignity of the world. As a result, man will end up provoking a rebellion on the part of the nature and destructions to human family. There's another ideology opposing to anthropocentrism, which is biocentrism. It underestimates human dignity and considers everything is equal. The more powerful will win, the more valuable will remain. No way. Christian faith sees human beings as possessing a particular dignity over other creatures because they are made in God's image, capable of knowing, loving, and self-consciousness, and God in justice did work for human care. Thus, we must protect and respect everyone. It's unacceptable to treat others as mere objects, imposing forced labor on them, sexual exploitation, abandonment of children and the elderly, enslaving others for personal interests of some people. Going against the current thoughts, we need to acknowledge profoundly human position in the relationship with God as the owner of the earth and everything in it. We need to be aware of our relationship with others and transcendent dignity God embedded in human being. And we have to understand our dominions in the sense of responsible stewardship. And how do we practice our dominion? From both two biblical traditions on creation and what we mentioned above, we come to this deduction. On the one hand, human beings have superior dignity and role on the earth as a manager following God's work. On the other hand, man has to be conscious of mutual interactions with all creatures, in which people have responsibilities to protect, to lead, and to take care of others. Subdue and rule over never means insatiable manipulations on creatures, never means uncontrollable exploitations of nature, never means absolute dominion of human on living creatures in the sea, on the land, or in the sky. So, practicing our dominion on earth means we are willing to go out, to put our feet on every territory, and cover the earth with our presence and life. Humans are free and open for God's gathering wherever He wants, willing to depart and move to the promised land which the Lord is waiting, willing to receive the land which God gives to us. This is a significant call for God's children, especially those who are living in consecrated life and missionary. Be ready to go to wherever God leads us, to the promised land which God prepares, and ready to till, to cultivate, and work on the fields in justice to earth. Humans can name other creatures. Naming is creating relationship with them. Naming is to become their father and mother. How do we assume this responsibility? Humans know how to extend friendly hands to living creatures, to protect, to care, to nourish them. Like in the flood, Noah not only brought his family to the ark, but also a couple of species, so that after the disasters, a species can continue to remain and reproduce. In general, subdue and rule over should be understood properly in the sense of stewardship according to God's plan, because the earth is the Lord's, and everything in it belongs to Him. May God be with us and help us to experience the happiness of being God's likeness, being human, and being God's collaborator in the missions of leading our planet to eternal light of new heaven and earth.